Hello guys, this is Tarun. He is a second year law student from NLSL Bhopal. He has cleared Clat in 2020 and is today with us to give some tips and strategies about Clat and also discuss the life of a law student. So hello Tarun, hope you are doing
Hello,
fine.
sir. Thanks for having me.
Uh, so Tarun, let's start with how is your life at NLIU Bhopal? Since last 2 years you have not been to campus, but has been the experience of
So, first of all, online is in itself a challenging thing because at campus, when you see different thing happening, so gives you motivation to to do different things. But at camp, in a virtual mode, when you're like law school is just limited to your laptop screen and your study room where you would be doing like tons of things which you would be like visiting a library or your like hostel room, your classrooms, and everything like all of those are just limited to your laptop screen and your study room. So that is in itself a different thing which you have to first of all like acclimatize to. So it took some time, like around 1.5 months, because earlier we were hoping that we would get to campus really soon, but this pandemic thing had like coming up with new variants with every 2 or 3 months. So that thing which took some time for me to acclimatize, and after that I like in a hard way I just understood the fact that okay, it is going to take some time and I need to acclimatize to the same. So after that I started like doing the normal things which we have the academics, the law subjects, and I like from the very beginning I made my mind that I have to like do the co-curriculars as well. So I wanted to get in some sales. So I applied for 4 sales, out of which I was lucky enough to get into 3 sales, and that helped me like because in a when you are at a campus, so you get opportunities to talk to your seniors and like get and know how the system works. But in this virtual mode, you have to make attempts so that you know, because this like preparing for CLAT and life at any law school is totally different. So you can't just on your own learn those things. So I like tried to contact my seniors and they guided me like in a law school this is not about learning law. You have to like focus on other things as well, like application of those things, writing research papers, how to write projects, because this project thing is totally different. Because in our schools we were just writing a simple essays and submitting small assignments, but in law school this is totally different, and a new thing that is plagiarism and turnitin. That was like something we I wasn't aware of. So seniors helped me in that. They gave certain sample projects so that we can get like some information about the same. And the faculty at NLI is also really helpful. One of like our Professor Alam, his class is at like he teaches subject that is CLM. So that is something which helped a lot. He doesn't only focus on his subject, but he like interdisciplinary approach he follows. So that helped a lot. Also, one of the like guideline advice he gave, that was regarding reading a judgment a day. So in the beginning, I tried to follow it, but with the academic pressure, after some time, I couldn't continue with the same. And I did a move that is FDI. It took a lot of my time in my first year because it was a long commitment of 6 to 7 months. As being a like generally this happens in international moves. So my first year was kind of, I would say, a good one, because I learned this thing that I have to be attentive in classes. And one of the thing which I followed was turning on my camera. So when you turn on a camera, this itself pushes you to do to put efforts, because teachers constantly ask questions, and in case you don't like you're not able to answer the question, that kind of puts a pressure on you. So I used to like keep my camera on. Like my senior guided me in the same, that if you turn on a camera, half of the thing would be done in the day. So I followed the same, and there was only once, like the last subject which we had in the first year was law of contract and law of torts. So like all of us, we have like the CLAT aspirants, we do law of contracts and the law of torts, the basics which we prepare for CLAT helped me a lot to do the same in the first year. So there wasn't a lot of pressure in the first semester, but it increased gradually as we proceeded. So there was, I would say, it was a kind of a complete, not very complete, but yeah, considering the virtual mode and the pandemic, the law school life is kind of great. Has not been very great, but considering the limitation, it has been good for me.
So hope the law school turns out to be more great after the pandemic. So moving on,
Sure.
you have cleared CLAD with boards. So how to manage boards and CLAD both? So can you guide students who are preparing for CLAD and are currently in 12th?
Sure. Like for me, like in 10th itself, I made my mind that I would be choosing law as my career. So I planned, like, I looked at the syllabus and I thought, okay, this the syllabus is not very challenging, because considering the type of questions it was, like earlier it had, so it was kind of memory based examination, that there were 50 questions of GK, and the reasoning and mathematics part was also like the formula based questions, which were very simple to solve. So I thought, okay, it would be easy for me to get hold of it. And like English also had a very good portion of vocabulary and foreign phrases, where it was all memory based. So first of all, I planned my preparation accordingly. And when I started my preparation, I joined the coaching in Bhopal itself. So I planned my preparation in a way that I would be focusing on mathematics, English, legal in my first year, because GK would graduate, like would be totally different in the year I would be appearing for. So I focused on static GK, like history, which I did from Lucid. So three subjects that were legal reasoning, and logical reasoning and mathematics. I focused on them, and I did English as well, but not in like there wasn't a very big portion of the reading comprehension. So I didn't do that much in my very first year, where I was preparing, like where I was when I was appearing for 11th. So I used to like do both. That I used to divide my times in a way that I would be studying 3 days for my 11th standard examination, and for 3 days I would be doing CLAT preparation. So in that way, I had a very good hold on the subjects when I completed my 11th. But like I was when I entered 12th class, I thought, okay, I'm in a good position because I was scoring good in my mocks. I was scoring 130 plus, because I used to revise GK. I didn't totally left that, okay, as it would be, I would be getting selection this year, so I shouldn't read any GK. But I used to do just to say that, just for the sake that when I would be reading GK, I could, just because GK doesn't run in isolation. Events gradually take place, and you have to memorize all the facts. So I did so that it can help me in a longer run, because if I would be starting the same totally new thing, so it would put a pressure, and I would take some time to acclimatize myself. So I did the same thing, and it I was scoring good in my mocks. But suddenly December, when boards were approaching, and Clat suddenly shocked everyone with a new pattern, because it was totally different. I From memory based examination, it turned out to be a like a comprehension based examination, where the majority portion was like you have to read a passage, understand it, and then apply logical things and get answer of it. So it was kind of, I was shocked, because my preparation which I did was like, I was thinking that it is totally vain and I have wasted a lot of my time, and I should focus on my boards now, instead of it would be difficult for me to now manage boards, Clat with my boards. But I thought, okay, worst that can happen is that I won't get a selection, but I should put my efforts, because I maintain that regularity with my 12th as well. So I didn't have a lot of things like a piled up for my 12th examination as well. I had completed most of the syllabus, and so I just thought, okay, I would be able to manage it if everything turns out to be good, because we didn't have a set in the earlier phase, we didn't have a reference paper to look for, because the client uploaded a little late. So the pandemic thing, I would say, was kind of advantageous for me, because I got some spare time to prepare, and I divided my preparation accordingly. So considering that a lot of things were reading comprehension based, so I changed my entire approach for preparation. First of all, I just figure out, okay, what would be the clat asks in the examination. So they won't I used to prepare from one website that is called as GMAT Club Forum. So they have a lot of material on English and critical reasoning. So I planned accordingly. And one thing which I helped me a lot is that I used to make daily notes for GK. So I had a lot of material which I could refer, because earlier we used to have one liners, but I used to make notes that is that were holistic on the topics. So that helped me a lot to prepare for the examination. So if considering the current pattern which we have, and I have to give some tips for the aspirants, I would say be regular in your preparation and divide, like plan your preparation accordingly. It won't happen in a way that you would be studying like for your boards, continue 1 month, and then you would take a break for from your board preparation, and you would start preparing for class. In like if you are, first of all, this is a smart decision you should one should make, whether they would be able to manage the things or not. Because if you are seeing, okay, if you just see that one of your friend is preparing in the same way, so you should just go, because every person has different potential.
Yeah.
So you should plan accordingly. I won't say that this is difficult or this is easy. It varies from person to person. Like whatever Clat asks right now, you should be aware of those things, and you should have a good, like you should know those things. Like you should be good in English. Like consider a person who is just like from Hindi medium, like one of like there is one aspirant who is preparing for Clat, and I'm just taking his example, not
Hmm.
like making a general perception, but just that example. So he faces difficulties while like comprehending the passages, and
There is a
some
clear
of the
bias.
questions in,
We can't deny that there is a clear bias for English students. That is, no CLAT
yeah.
aspirant should come with a perspective that no CLAT is equal or what. There is a bias and you have to overcome it. That is the point, that you have to overcome it. But don't come with a
Yeah,
perspective that it is equal for Hindi medium also and English medium also. That is very
that is
important.
not at all equal. So one should make this decision very carefully. I won't say that if a person is studying from English medium, he would have exceptional hold on the subject.
Hmm.
So based on that, you should make a decision. Okay, and when you make the decision that okay, I would be able to manage both the things, then divide your preparation accordingly. Like first of all, get the previous year question papers, analyze the same, and see how you would be dividing the same. Because some people, they are very good in mathematics, so they have to work like considering considerable less amount of time they have to devote for maths preparation. And some people, they are not good with maths, but they are very good at English, so they would be requiring less preparation for the same. So divide, make a list of the same, and then plan a preparation accordingly, that for this month I would be doing this. And I would suggest that don't leave your like boards, like you would say that generally we have board examination in Feb and or March. So I would start my preparation in November or December, and then I would complete within 5 months. That won't happen, because first of all, you would have a lot of things to cover, and the additional thing that puts pressure is the anxiety, the pressure you have. The thing that is something which we generally neglect in the initial phases, that okay, we have to do a work. That work is not that hard to complete, but just couple that thing with a lot of pressure you have, because you have to, like that would be a time where you can't stop your preparation. Because if you stop your preparation, flat preparation for 1 or 2 months, you would, when you will come back to those things, it would be kind of a fresh start for you. So that would be really challenging, that because you would, the exam would be just a month or two. You have to prepare everything again. So I would just suggest, don't leave those things, don't let things pile up, and plan accordingly, and be regular in your preparation. Perseverance is the key for any examination, I would say, not only for that, but just plan and be consistent in your approach.
So we have to take both the things together. Matlab, you can't leave CLAT for boards or boards for CLAT. You have to take both of the things together, plan accordingly. So that is the
Yes.
point. So now moving forward, Tarun, tell us about section-wise strategies a CLAT aspirant should follow.
Yeah, so just as I mentioned earlier, that the Clat totally changed after January. It means after December, and in January we had a totally different things. Like it was kind of challenging for me. Uh, like others as well. Like others, I also ranted for a while. Okay, this why this happened to me. Like what wrong we did, so that it has to come with us only. So after some time, I just said, okay, there won't be any worth if I just do keep on doing this thing, because ultimately what it will do, that I would be wasting my time and nothing will come out of it. So I sat down, because there are some examination which follow similar kind of pattern. Like we have GMAT, which also asks like comprehensive based exam, comprehensive based questions. So first of all, I generally do, like I used to do in my like 11th in my schooling as well. I used to understand, I used to like go with the teacher's perspective, why they are asking this question and what will happen if basically what I used to do, that why this particular section is there in the examination, unless we know the reasoning behind that subject. Because if you see a JEE examination, they don't put general knowledge. There would be some reasoning that they are following that set of uh, question or those subjects are there in the examination. So I sat down for a day, I analyzed all those things and I made approach, because that was new for everyone. My guess could have been wrong, and but that didn't go in that way. It turned out to be right, and that helped me a lot in my preparation. So there were four subjects which were reading intensive. So I used to follow this magazine thing, because it helped me to get complete my GK, as well as it used to help me to understand the perspective how they used to present GK. So it helped me in preparing for other English based subjects, like comprehension based subjects, as well as for GK. So I used to give 6 hours of my time, out of which I used to devote most of my time for GK, because that was a section which could be a game changer. Because for English, reasoning, and legal, there would be all the set of facts would be given in the paper itself. And if you have a good hold on subject of English, you would be able to comprehend the passages and find out answers accordingly. So I used to devote around 3 to 4 hours of my preparation on daily basis to GK. And I used to follow like this GMAT Club forum, which I mentioned earlier. That website proved to be very helpful for me. I used to prepare English and critical reasoning from there. And
GMAT plus
there
forum.
is, yeah, GMAT Club forum. And they have a lot of like, they have a plethora of passages available on their website. And the best part is, like, generally the aspirants faces difficulty with a particular set of passages. Like if a passage is based on economics, because they have jargons, they use jargons in the passages. So sometimes, although we are able to understand the language, like English language, but sometimes when they use, okay, what is depression, what is recession, so sometimes these kind of terms which are like very specific to those fields, they kind of confuse if we see it them for the first time. So I used to follow this uh, subject matter specific practice as well, so that I don't see a very random or very new thing in the examination itself. So I followed that thing. So I would say, when you're preparing for English, first of all, uh, like try to have the speed of 400 words per minute, 350 or 400 words per minute. And I used to follow, like I used to read questions, like I tried multiple ways of attempting a question. And finally, which I like in mocks, finally which suited me, was to read questions first, get a get a direction from the question itself, because the passage usually ranges from 300 to 400 words. So you shouldn't like by heart the passage, because they're not asking you to by heart or understand everything and repeat for somebody. So what one should do is that they should understand the question, find it out that what the question is asking from them, and then read the passage accordingly. Because if you are blindly reading the questions, you would be wasting your time, because you don't have an idea that what you are eventually going to get in the question. So I used to read the questions, I used to get an idea, and that helped me a lot to save my time and to be like to maintain accuracy in the questions. So this helped me in all the subjects, like in reasoning, in legal, and in English. This also helps you in mathematics in a way that if you see a question and you see that, okay, this is easy, like sometimes you just have to find out a percentage, so don't have to complete entire things, you just have to find out a percentage of two things. So do the same and complete your question. I realized one thing when I was preparing for Clat, that they don't ask you to be very precise, that they don't want that you should attempt 150 questions and maintain accuracy of 150, like 100%. It doesn't work in that way. They just want that you should work in a smart way, and you should be like reasoned enough that you should understand, okay, this question should be attempted and it would give me a positive mark. That you should also like do cost benefit analysis while attempting questions. I won't say that do a complete question based things, but when you attempt mocks on regular basis, it it develops subconsciously, that when you use a question, you will figure out, okay, this would be taking this much amount of time, and I would be getting the answers in a while. So plan that way, and I focused on this particular approach only. I used to give mocks on regular basis, and something which I did that helped me a lot is 2 hours period practice. I never used to sit in like half an hour practice sessions. I always did this 2 hour practice sessions, and eventually I increased it to 3 hours so that I can maintain this efficiency for the 2 hour duration. Because generally when we give mocks, we are very effective, like we are very good in solving questions for the first hour, but as like the time increases, we kind of get tired and we're not able to focus in the way that we are able to do in the first hour of the mock. So I used to sit for 3 hours. When I was close to examination, I used to sit for 3 hours so that I can maintain my efficiency for 2 hours at least. And the sectional test also I used to give for 2 hours. And this way only I did my preparation, mocks and regular basis of GK. And one of the magazine which I used to do was from Drishti IS. That was also very good source of for preparing GK, because they don't give you one liners. So they kind of gives a holistic picture of every topic, and they also presented analysis. And like the year 2020, when we had Clat, they asked these type of questions as well, like, okay, what could be the possible reason for this step? Why did this happen? So my preparation from that Drishti Eyes magazine helped me a lot to understand those topics from that perspective, which made me able to answer that questions. And the same is continuing, I would say. So if you want to prepare for GK, I would say prepare from a magazine, and you have to be smart enough. Everything is not important, because that magazine is designed for the most difficult examination we have in India, that is IS or UPSC. So don't do that. You have to be smart enough to
Identify what
truncate
to read and what
the unnecessary information. Yeah. So be smart and prepare accordingly. And for legal and for critical reasoning, I would say kind of the earlier method which we used to follow, it would be the same, but you have to be more, like, you have to read more than which you used to do. Because earlier the passages were small. Now we have a long passage, and out of which we are asked to like find out 4 or 5 right answers. So the preparation strategy would be same, except for GK, and you have to be more you have to spend more time in reading and getting hold of the subject. So that would be the subject wise.
Okay, so can you recommend any book or materials for GK CLAT aspirants that they should look for, if you can?
Uh, One, like, this could be different for different people. Like one of my friend, he says that you should refer to different sources, but for me it was that you should do one source but multiple times. So for GK, I used to do 3 things only. That I used to first of all complete my GK on regular basis. For that, I used to uh, write GK from GK Today and Cloud Affairs, and most of the things they used to like overlap. So I used to give 1 hour of my time for making notes. And that, because when you write things, it gets registered. So, and I used to like revise on weekly basis, like whatever I used to do in 6 days, I used to revise on Sundays. So and like the Drishti magazine, it comes like twice a month. So whenever I used to complete all those things, I used to uh, revise from that magazine. So it also used to like shorten my time. Like I used to complete that magazine within 1 hour, I would say. So that also is a smart way of revising, because when you have notes, you would first revise from that. And if something is missed, if something is missing in your notes, you would find that in the magazine. So you won't be missing a lot of things. You won't be missing like important things which can be asked in the examination, because there are some random questions which the CLAT asks, and they are not to be attempted. They are just are there to be left, so that you can save your important 1.25 marks. Why I'm saying that? Because if you try to attempt that, you would be just wasting your 0.25 marks. And you can also attempt like a good amount of question, sorry, one question which you would be wasting for the same. So you can save 1.25 marks if you know what questions to be left. And these are 2 things which I would suggest for GK. And for reasoning, there is Manhattan. Like there is a book for Manhattan, which helps, like which has a good explanation on the subjects, like what is weakening a statement means, what is strengthening means, and how the basic structure of a statement works, what is premise. So unless you know the basics of these things, you won't be able to maintain a good accuracy on while solving questions. So I would suggest, and it is not very long, very lengthy book. It has around 300 pages. So if one completes those things, and it has a very good approach on how to eliminate wrong answers. So if you practice from that book, it will help you not only in this subject but in other subjects as well. Like in legal, we have this thing that there are four options, out of which two are like yes, yes, and two are no, no. And if you are able to find out, okay, the answer would be yes, but you are not able to find out what would be the correct option, whether it would be A or whether it would be B. So that helps you to eliminate the wrong answer. So if you can follow the correct approach from that book, it will help you across the section, not only in critical reasoning, but across the sections. And for English, I would again suggest that website, that is GMAT Club Forum. And it also has a lot of material on critical reasoning also. And that is a topic based thing, that you would be getting questions on strengthening statements, weakening statements, or you have to find out, okay, what would be the premise. So that website has a plethora of questions. And for legal, I would suggest you can buy any test series if you want. Like there are a lot of available. Or you can also, like, one thing I would say don't miss on is to solve previous set questions. You have a lot of material that you can find for free from Clat website. Like they upload, I think they had. And for elite questions, so Clat and elite, if you solve for like all the previous set questions, you would be able to like have a good understanding of the subject, and that would be enough. That would be enough, I would say, for legal reason. So if you complete all those things in a way, so you would be having a very good would be having a very good preparation for this. And one thing that you need to do then is to practice on regular basis till the examination.
Okay. So now moving forward from CLAT, what would be your suggestion for fresher law students?
Okay, so kind of thing I would say that in a virtual mode, we kind of see that there are a negative things, that we can't visit to campus. We are not able to go there and attend classes in physical mode. But one thing which it brings is that you can have a lot of virtual internships. Like the scope of learning is limited, but if when you see like things happening in a virtual mode, so there multiple things which you can learn from an internship in a virtual mode as well. It doesn't mean that the experience you would be getting would be totally worthless and you would be learning anything new from the online internship. So you can apply for the internships in online mode as well. And one thing which happens in online mode is that it kind of get difficult for students to motivate themselves to attend classes, because when we are in campus, you have to be present, otherwise your attendance would be compromised, and that would be difficult for you to like sit in the examination. So that pushes a student to be in the classroom. But in at home, you just have to log in and you can easily just get the attendance and without attending classes. So I would say that be attentive in the classes. That has a lot of benefits. First of all, that you would be able to understand the concepts in a better way. Also, when you keep your cameras on, you are able to interact with the teachers, because in classes usually there are 5 to 6 people only who keep the cameras on. So when like a teacher looks that, okay, these are the people, they are constantly keeping the cameras on, so teachers from on their own, they make initiatives and have conversation, and it helps positively. uh Other thing would be like, not from the very beginning, like focusing on research papers, but you can work on writing blogs and small articles, which from like word limit of 1500 or 2000, because if you start from the very beginning writing a long research papers of 6000 to 8000 words, that won't be very beneficial, because you won't be having that much amount of knowledge on the subjects. So I would say that start writing on writing blogs or small articles. That could be beneficial in the beginning. And one more thing, that is try to contact seniors, because for like when I entered in the law school, I didn't know anything about the working, how things work, because when you write examination as well, because now the pandemic has been for 2 years, and now we have sufficient ways that by which we can write, like, take proper examinations. So you have to write answers, you have to present, you have to give vivas, you have to give presentations. So every teacher every teacher want different thing for their subject. So if and the seniors are like, because they have been at the university for 3 to 4 years, so they can like give you teacher specific guidance, that okay, this teacher wants this particular aspect in the presentation, or if you include this particular things in your research project, so they would be giving you higher marks. So always be like interact with the seniors, and they also help in mood core and other co-curricular activities, I would say. So, and don't leave those things, okay, because sometimes people feel, okay, I mean, the first year I won't be able to give competition to the people who have been studying law for 2 or 3 years, so it won't be easy for me to like do more course and other activities. This is kind of a myth, I would say. You should take part in every activity you see, which is feasible for you. I wouldn't say that, okay, don't focus on academics and try to do everything that is possible. That is there. I would just say that try to do what is feasible and what could be managed with your academics and other things, because there are a lot of opportunities available in law school, and you just have to be smart enough to grab which are which will help you to excel in the law school. And this varies from person to person, and it would be difficult in the beginning to identify on your own. So you should be able to get help from your teachers and your seniors, I would say.
So thank you, Tarun. It was great talking to you. And
Pleasure's all mine.